Okay, I think we're back. Are we back? Welcome into the lab. Can you hear me? We're good? I think everything looks like it's popping off on my end, so it looks like we are back off and rolling. So thank you for all the patience while we get started. So see, here's what happens, guys. I have the good intentions of starting the stream early, or even on time. And guess what happens? This happens. And then now we're starting late again, like we always do. It's like the world is telling us that we just can't start on time or early. That's just what the universe is giving us right now. So, you know what it is? It's just part of the deal. It's just part of the deal. We are meant to be late or meant to be just always behind every step of the way. So, that being said, we are here live with you again on a Thursday night. I'm sorry. Now I'm all flustered. We're here on a Thursday night talking about little NBA. We wanted to give you some NBA action. We don't always. It's the heat of the NFL season. Our Wednesday show, our Sunday show, all heavily related around football. But man, I love my NBA, and I know there's a bunch of you out there too that love you some NBA. So we're gonna dive into all the things happening around the NBA when it comes to the All-Star game. We have the rosters announced. We have some trade rumors coming up because we're a week away from the trade deadline. We have power rankings when it comes to our top 10. We have all of it popping off here tonight. It's a packed show, 1 full hour, guys. Rec in the chat. Also, we have B-Rock and Diacola. Welcome in, all of you guys who are popping in here. Grizzlies go on a historical run, break all kinds of records, then decide they've done enough and fall off a cliff. It's okay. It happens. It goes through streaks. The Nuggets, they're kind of, we're going through some things too. We've lost before the last couple games. We've lost 3 of 5, so we're not in a great spot, but we're still kind of in the mix. Always running behind. Yeah. It's. I think that's that country's. I don't want to sing it for you because my singing voice tonight is not great. What's up, Cuban? How we doing? And then also we'll have a guest mod in the in the producer role tonight. We're gonna give it a go, and we're gonna have Milwaukee's Best. Milwaukee's Best is gonna be popping in for a little bit, taking over the role for Rec tonight. Rec's just taking a night off from being producer duty. So if you hear any voice popping in, it's good old Milwaukee's Best coming in and giving you some love. I'm sure he has plenty to talk about when it comes to his Milwaukee Bucks. But without further ado, let's get this thing popping off. Milwaukee's, he there? Milwaukee's, we got you?
Yeah, I don't know. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. We got you loud and clear.
All right, yeah. My Discord's not working properly. I'm not hearing you. All right, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not. Oh, here we go. Is that better?
Yes, Lima Charlie. There we go.
There we go. We got you. All right. Appreciate you popping in and being a part of the stream tonight. Good to have you. And we'll see how this goes, man. We typically have Reckoning on here, so we'll try to get you some time here on this Thursday night. Get a little have some fun, talk some hoops. But without further ado, let's dive in. Let's dive into some of the storylines that are happening across the NBA because there seems to be a lot going on. We're approaching the midpoint of the season. That NBA All-Star game just got announced. What's up, Algorithm Ninja? How we doing, my friend? Good to have you in. Who's your team and where you're from? We like to get to know each and every one of you guys in the chat a little bit better. So make sure you guys let us know, who you root for, who your boys. But let's dive into the fast break. We have some news and headlines popping off here, and one of which happens to be the All-Star game. And the All-Star game, just tonight, it just got released. So we have our rosters that are all locked and loaded, ready to go. We already announced the starters last week, and now we got all of the backups rolling in when it comes to the reserves for the East and Western Conference. So let me go ahead. I'm going to take a quick Brooklyn Nets. Okay. The Nets. Love it. Welcome. I'm just gonna rattle off all of the reserves here. So the big ones, at least let's go with the East here. Joel Embiid is the biggest name, obviously, out the top of the list here, getting snubbed from the starting role, which, man, it's tough, man. The East is tough. It's hard to get in on the East when basically off the position breakdowns and how I digress. But you have Joel Embiid leading all of the reserves there. You also have Boston Celtics, Jaylen Brown, Miami Heat center Bam Adebayo. You got Drew Holiday. You got your boy Milwaukee's popping in here as a reserve. You got DeMar DeRozan, 6th appearance. You got Julius Randle, 2nd appearance, and Indiana Pacers guard Tyrese Halliburton, who popped in as well when it came to All-Star selection for the East. Now let's go to the West. West, the big one that kind of headlines the reserves is Ja Morant. Ja Morant is going to be one of the top reserves coming off the bench for the West. But let's go ahead. Let's talk about Sacramento Kings. Domantas Sabonis, my boy, my Gonzaga boy, coming in 3rd selection to the All-Star game. Damian Lillard, 7th All-Star game. You got Paul George, his 8th. You got Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. You got Lauri Markkanen, and you got Jaren Jackson Jr., which was, I think, another surprise. I think that one was kind of an interesting one, too, given the fact that he's kind of missed some time and the fact that, you know, there's been some questions whether or not, you know, he was on the cusp there. I know my boy Aaron Gordon was kind of on the fringe of making it in, which he's having the season of his life. And I just think that, you know, overall, he had a pretty good argument to be making it into the All-Star game. But yeah, so that being said, guys, let us know what you guys think when it comes to some of the biggest surprises. I mean, I think that's one of them. I think on the Eastern Conference, you got Julius Randle, who made it in, but I mean, Brunson has been playing pretty solid out there. I think that would have been I could have seen that move being made as well. But go ahead and vote in the Discord. Poll in the Discord, by the way. Go ahead. Yep. Join the Discord, guys, if you haven't already. Algorithm Ninja, what do you guys think about? What do you think about the NBA All-Star selections? Also, biggest snubs. I think some names that pop out to me. I think James Harden is having a pretty decent year, and you know he's playing fairly well when it comes to, you know, keeping that team. I mean, the Philadelphia 76ers are one of the hottest teams, if not the hottest team in the NBA right now. Jimmy Butler missed some time with injuries, but he's one of the best players in the league, and I mean he's the Miami Heat have been playing pretty well. So Butler is a kind of a surprise. One player on the Western side is De'Aaron Fox, leading that high-powered, high-octane Kings team. 3rd best record in the West right now. His teammate Sabonis got in already, but he's averaging 24.3 points, 6.1 assists. He's shooting 50.6% from the field, and he's been clutch, man. He's been clutch. So I don't know. I mean, I think there's some interesting names that this has been a tough year, man. This has been a tough one. I was gonna say if we saw the likes of Draymond Green and Kayvon Looney and some of those guys in the mix, I was going to be a little upset. But luckily we have, I mean, it's tough. There's a lot of names that could be slotted in there. I would have liked to see a couple of those guys slotted in, but yeah, there you have it. Those are the All-Stars for the reserves when it comes to the game coming up here soon. So that being said,
quick question, Chris. How about Trae Young not getting in there?
Trae Young, yeah. I mean, he's having a little bit of, I do see what you're saying with Trae Young. He's having a little bit of a shooting slump this year, but I think, you know, when you're looking at what he is,
he's 27 and 10.
and it's tough. It's tough. And here's the thing with the inflated numbers, man. Like, I think and great point, Milwaukee's like, I think the crazy explosion of offense and the numbers this year are really leaving some people behind, because there are some players out here that are absolutely blowing up, and absolutely in any other year, any other season prior, are shoo-ins for the All-Star game. And I mean, yeah, it's crazy to think that Trae Young averaging 27 points. I mean, he's averaging what, 9.9 assists? Pretty solid. I do want to take a look, because there's a couple things that I mean, he's down right now with his 3-point shooting percentage, which I think is what people are kind of holding against him this year. I mean, he's typically in the mid 30s for his career. He's shooting. He's gotten better over the last few games, shooting 32%. Is like that's how he's peaking this year. That's kind of how this season has gone for Trae Young. So I think taking that away and him struggling and a little bit from the 3-point range, I think is a little bit of a testament of why he may have been on the fringe as well this year. But I mean, still, Trae's a solid dude, and I think that any other year, like I said, he's in there, but just couldn't get there this year. But surprised with the play of the Kings, says Algorithm. Yeah, the Kings have been. I mean, we're gonna talk about them here in a little bit when we get to our power rankings for the week. But I honestly think the Kings, they're an interesting team in a sense that they're a high octane offense. They're very, very good offensively. I think they're like top 2 or 3 in the NBA when it comes to offensive efficiency and what they're putting out. But defensively, they rank in the bottom like 6 in the NBA. So they're trying to outscore you, and they're not playing against teams that, when they're not playing against high octane teams as well, and it's a shootout, then it's a whole different story, because they do bleed on the defensive side of the defensive side of the basketball. So that's the only thing that I'm worried about the Kings. If the Kings had a middle of the road defense, I mean, I think they would be man, a dangerous team, but still have a little bit of an Achilles heel on that side. But it's a lot of fun though. It's a lot of fun to watch the Kings. We haven't said that in a long, long time. I'll tell you that. Don't worry, Embiid has been named starter on the All Philadelphia team. Yes, I mean, he's got that MVP, Most Valuable Philadelphia trophy. So there's that. But Dr. J, your Kings, I'm telling you, they're a lot of fun to watch. Dr. J, you know this. I'm a Gonzaga guy. I love me Domantas Sabonis. So I want to see him just be freaking good and carry that team. But De'Aaron Fox is crushing. Y'all have an exciting young team and a couple defensive-minded players on that squad, and you guys are in the mix 100%. So that being said, there you go. All-Star game is all set with the reserves and the starters. So let me know what you guys think. Are you guys into the All-Star game? Like, do you guys enjoy the All-Star festivities? I mean, I love the 3-point shooting contest. The dunk contest has been brutal as of late, because there's no stars. There's no star power. You get a bunch of kids in their first or second year in the NBA that, get in the mix for that. And that's like not, you want to see the big boys come out and take the gloves off and get in there and get dirty, right? But you just never see it. So that's a drawback there. But I think the All-Star game itself is going to be fantastic. They've done some good things on the NBA All-Star game when it comes to getting more people to jump in on some of the format of it based off a quarter by quarter and breaking it out a little bit, which I thought was more exciting. It's been a little bit more of a more drama when you have something like that, because you see the players playing a little bit harder. I like the All-Star games back in the 90s, not interested anymore. Yeah, it's tough to find. I mean, across any sport, I think hockey has the best All-Star festivities when it comes to like the skills competitions and things, all the things they put together for that. I think the NBA does a decent job now with the All-Star game itself. They've changed the format of it, and I like that. Baseball still has like the home run derby's fine, and I don't know. Baseball's whatever. I don't get as jazzed up for baseball. And I would say the NFL is. We'll see what the NFL does here with all of their Pro Bowl activities coming up this weekend. The flag football thing coming up. They have all of the different like skills competitions, which they did before, and I don't know why they went away from that. I don't know why they took away the throwing competition and the skills, and the linemen are going to be pushing like heavy shit around the field. I mean, so to each their own. I think everybody. I get the most excited for the NHL stuff. The NHL does a very good job with putting together cool things. They did it in Vegas last year. They were hitting pucks into the Bellagio. They were putting like playing cards, that glass playing cards, and they were having to break the playing cards like accuracy. Like it was cool. It was cool. But anyways, I digress. We're talking. Just want to.
You guys think dunk contest has run its course?
I haven't been excited for a dunk contest in at least a few years, 3 or 4 years. Like it's tough. It's tough because I want to see big names in there. Like even Aaron Gordon. Aaron Gordon from my Nuggets is a high flyer. He could dunk. He has one of the dunks of the year candidates early on from early on Christmas Day when he had that massive dunk. I think you need recognizable names. You get LeBron, you get AG, you get some of the guys. I mean, even some of the guys on here, on the Ja Morant. Ja Morant's in the dunk contest. I mean, forget it. That's the most watched event this entire over the All-Star game. They just don't ever pull big names to do it, and it's always these kids. So, yeah, it's just it's tough for me to get excited about it. Milwaukee's, do you like it?
My only argument with that is their shoe contracts and Nike and Adidas would not want their main stars going out there, and if they somehow lost, that's why they're not doing it.
But at the same, I mean, it's a give and take, right? At the same flip of the coin, I mean, you're getting your brand showcased out there for an entire night. You get 2 or 3 big stars out there. I'm telling you, that's going to be the highest rated event over the course of the weekend, and you get more eyeballs on that event, more eyeballs on your brand. So, you just got to market it the right way, and you just got to put it out there that, hey, you got Ja Morant, you got Aaron Gordon, you got, whoever. I mean, some of the big athletic dudes in the league that, could come in. I think that would be even a bonus in a sense. So I don't know. The new All-Star game is whack, says Agram. Not digging the new All-Star game. I have a feeling the Super Bowl is going to have some low ratings. I'm telling you, NFL is king. NFL is king, and it's you got 2 number 1 seeds. 2 pretty decent offenses, 2 overall pretty good teams. I think it's going to be a pretty decent rating for the Super Bowl. I actually remember this show from YouTube. Nice. Thanks for popping through. Thanks for being a part of it. We must be doing something right on YouTube. But feel free, guys, if you guys are new to the channel, give us a follow. It's free on Twitch to give a follow, and we like to have you guys a part of what we got going on here. Wednesdays and Sundays are our NFL streams. And there we go. Algorithm Ninja. Let's go. Welcome in, Ninja. Appreciate that. Thank you. We can't wait to have you here hanging out with us. These high-priced players are not going to risk injury. Yeah, and it's an injury thing, too. I mean, but again, that's what you have with the All-Star game. It's just like, I mean, I feel like the All-Star game, you're more likely to get injured than in a dunk contest. But, I mean, given the fact that it's been a little bit more competitive this last couple years for the All-Star game, and you got players actually trying a little bit more. But the NFL Pro Bowl stuff is going on right now. I haven't watched any of it, but I got to check it out. All right, next up, we have some trade rumors going on, and a lot of news, a lot of juicy rumors that I wanted to get into. And we've been kind of discussing a lot of like the players leading up to last week. We had the John Collins, the Cam Reddishes of the world, some teams that are trying to make some moves that are kind of in the mix. But this week we've had some crazy rumors. One of them was around the Toronto Raptors, OG Anunoby, who is getting interest from the Knicks, the Suns, the Pelicans, the Pacers. I mean, he seems to be one of the top guys on the trade market right now. And, they're trying to figure something out. There's a lot of people. I mean, he's a defensive guy that's averaging, 16 points, almost 17 points a game, 5.5 rebounds, league best 2.1 steals per game. I mean, he's a defensive machine, and he could put it up on the offensive side. He's a guy that I would love to have in Denver, honestly. But OG is on the trading block. But yeah, Knicks, Suns, Pelicans, and Pacers have been kind of testing the waters on what OG could possibly cost to lure him away from the Toronto Raptors. Also, Zach LaVine. We have a few teams interested in him. We've kind of mentioned him a little bit, whether or not. And, it's interesting, too. I've heard some things that Zach LaVine is on the trade block. Lakers, Heat, Knicks, Mavs. Mavericks could be an interesting one because they need somebody to help Luka out. Luka is a one-man show, and that roster without Luka it's a bottom feeder team in the NBA. I still, even with Luka by himself, I don't think they have what it takes to get anywhere in the Western Conference playoffs. But I saw a take on ESPN. Some guy was like, Chicago, the Chicago radio show, who was saying, I would rather trade DeMar DeRozan than Zach LaVine because you still have a year on his contract. DeMar DeRozan, he's a guy that is at the top of his draft capital or potential for what they could get for him. And I mean, at this point, you get more value, which is interesting. I saw that take like literally before we got on air tonight, and I was just I was curious about that one. But interesting take because I could see that happening. I don't hate that actually. One of the games was Football West favorite. Yeah. Cuban. I'm okay with AG resting during the All-Star weekend. Yeah, that's fine. Play it safe. Relax, recharge the batteries, and just get right. That's. I mean, not that he's hurt, but yeah. Longest drive challenge? No, not longest drive on a football field. There you go, Rec. Appreciate that. Let's see.
I mean, the latest I heard was LaVine for Westbrook and draft picks. Aren't they kind of the same players? Like, who's benefiting, the Lakers or the Bulls?
I mean, the thing with Russ is, I mean, if you're trading Russ out, you're getting LaVine to come into the Lakers organization. You have a guy that could take a little bit of pressure off AD if he's ever playing, and LeBron. So, Zach LaVine, I think, gives you some of that. I think he's a guy that you could rely on a little bit more than Russell Westbrook, who has his issues with, needing the ball in his hands a lot. And he also likes to shoot a lot, which, that doesn't always go well. He's not going to be nailing, mid-range jumpers and threes all game because that's just not what he's good at doing. He's good at getting to the hole, getting to the basket, getting fouls, those types of things. And that's kind of where he's at this point in his career. I think if you're a Lakers fan, you want to splash, and Zach LaVine is a guy that can give that to you when it comes to actually being able to provide a little bit more substance offensively. So that's what I think about the Lakers. I just think that the Lakers need to, they need to figure out what they're doing, because right now the bus is kind of shifting on the Lakers, and I don't think that there's a lot of time for them. They gotta start making some moves, because if they don't, they're gonna be on the outside looking in of this playoff picture. I mean, Dr. J, you gotta love it. Lakers are trash as always the last couple of years, and your Kings are crushing. So that's probably best case scenario for Sacramento fan. That's for Kings fans. Do you think the Jazz either trade Jordan Clarkson or Mike Conley? I do think that they make some moves. I think that the Jazz will be fairly active. I think the Jazz. I mean, they're seeking capital, draft capital. They want, I think, Malik Beasley, Jared Vanderbilt. I think there's guys that they really want to move around. And so I don't know. I think that there's some ways that they can make something happen there. And they're going to be active. They're going to be sellers at the trade deadline. So those two names, Malik Beasley, Jared Vanderbilt. There's a lot of people in Denver that kind of like Jared Vanderbilt to come back because he provides some defensive presence. He's gotten more, he's gotten the rust off a little bit from early on in his career. So Jazz could be another one. Yeah, Milwaukee's. This one's interesting. As of a couple days ago, the Bucks. And Jay Crowder is kind of in the mix. Jay Crowder, how you feel about that?
Yeah, I'm hearing good things on Crowder, but we want to give up a second and Grayson Allen, and it doesn't seem like the Suns want that. They're looking for more.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting because the Bucks. They're on the upswing. You guys have a solid team over there that I think can really make some moves, and maybe just one piece to solidify the second half of the season to make that run. Jay Crowder's a nice little piece defensively to add into your team, but yeah, it depends on what the cost is and what the Suns are wanting to
I think a Crowder would be a similar piece to PJ Tucker was when we went on our championship run. You just need a veteran body inside to relieve Lopez and Giannis, for that matter.
Yep. And the more depth you have there, too. PJ can be kind of on and off with, how, first of all, he's performing. I feel like PJ has those down games, and it's just kind of like, all right, we need some consistency, but also to just injuries, to have some depth is always pretty good to have when you're, a team that's going to be making a deep run in the playoffs. So I don't hate them knocking the door to see what they could get for Jay Crowder. Bones Highland locally here is another one that's kind of, you see him on the graphic here. He's electric. He's exciting. And it's really hard for me to say this, but I'm okay. I'm okay getting rid of Bones if it's going to get us. I think we need some defensive power forward center that's going to be a little bit more substantial and more just something more than we get from DeAndre Jordan backing up Jokic. They're not going to get a lot of time behind Jokic, but if we can have a nice defensive presence to kind of keep the ship afloat while Jokic is on the bench, and put up some points, I think that's the best case scenario there. So Bones Highland, if he stays, happy. He's an electric player off the bench. He can be inconsistent. When he's off, but he's also wanting to be, he's got a little bit of that Bull. He's got a little bit of that Jeremy Grant kind of, I need more time. I want more court time. I need to get mine. And he thinks he deserves more, which is fine. He's a great player, but the consistency needs to back that up. And I think that we can get a little bit more for him, hopefully, with his value being at where it's at now. Cuban in the chat, Russ is an older player who is kind of a shell of his younger self, has ridiculously huge contract, and always keeps the ball in his own hands for too long. But this show is about basketball, not football. Hey man, come on. That's my quarterback. That's my guy. That's my quarterback. Yeah, I see what you did there. What grade would you give Danny Ainge running the Jazz front office so far? I like it a lot. Danny Ainge can turn some things around. We saw what he was able to do, in his previous roles. In Boston, and he's a wheeler and dealer. He likes to make the splashes, and I thought they got the best deal of that Minnesota trade. I thought they got the best deal of it because they got so much in return for a guy that's like Rudy Gobert. That's not even. He's not an offensive presence. Defensively, you can't stretch the floor with him because centers now are pulling him out to the 3-point line, so he's not even in the paint to defend something a lot of times when you got Jokic or Embiid pulling him out to the 3-point line to defend that. It's just I think what Minnesota got worked over by Danny Ainge in that deal. So I like what they're doing with the draft picks, getting a lot of capital, getting a lot of things going with, building that team out, I like it a lot. So
back to the earlier conversation, you were saying the Jazz are on the market to trade for more first-round picks. How many more do they need? They got 3 of them for Donovan Mitchell. How many do they get for Gobert? Like,
I mean,
what more do they need?
There's a couple things that they could do with those. So obviously they're hoping that they could get, a couple studs through the next couple drafts, right? But also, I mean, they could use those to move up in the draft. They could use those for players veteran players, once they kind of get to the point where they, have a nice little core. I think that what they need to do right now is just solidify their core and what they want that to be. Because honestly, I mean, they're a rebuilding team right now. For a rebuilding team, they're 27 and 26. They're a 500 team at the very juncture of the season. So it's not like they're a bad rebuilding team. They're not going like tanking for Victor Wembanyama by any means. But I mean, you have guys like, Lauri Markkanen's a nice piece. You got, some young pieces like Ogbaji, a kid from Kansas. You got Colin Sexton, who's, he's coming off the bench right now. But I just think that I'm looking at their roster, and I don't see where you could build around any one particular player. Walker Kessler, Kelly Olynyk, Markkanen, Clarkson, Conley. I just don't see a guy that, is going to be your long-term go-to superstar in the NBA yet. And they need to find that. Once they find that, it might take a couple draft picks to find that. It might take a little bit of time. But then you got to start building around that and then, go from there. But, the more capital you have, the better they should be able to, the more bullets in the chamber, right? To find that guy, find those players.
I have to agree with Algorithm there. Yeah, he is building that draft capital, whether he gets a Jaylen Brown, a Jason Tatum.
Yep.
Like, that's what he's going for. He's got to get a stud like that early in the draft and build around him.
Exactly. Yeah, you nailed it, Algorithm, for sure. Markkanen and Kessler look like legitimate players in Utah as well. Yeah, I mean, Markkanen is a nice player. He's actually had the freedom to blossom a little bit more. He hadn't had that in Chicago and, wherever he bounced around. Like, he didn't have that same. Now that, it's like they're just letting him loose and he's kind of going crazy. Kessler's a nice piece. I don't know, you're right. He's a nice piece. He's not the guy, but I mean, who knows? But a lot of stuff happening there. Let me see if there's anything else I may have missed out on. Bones Highland talked about him. Matisse Thybulle is available now, which is also, I think Golden State Warriors, Sacramento Kings are among teams that have expressed interest in him. So go Sacramento. We talked a little bit about, maybe he can be a nice little boost to what they have going for their roster. The Raptors making literally every player on the Raptors roster is available except Scotty Barnes. He's going to be a stud, by the way. So hey, fire sale in Toronto. But a lot is going to be coming down the pipeline. The trade deadline is coming down the pipeline on a week from today. Next Thursday, we might need to do a 2-hour show. We might have to do a 2-hour show to break down all of the deals happening on February 9th, because that's when everything is going to be locked in and all the trades are going to be wheeling and dealing starting probably beginning to middle of next week. So a lot to talk about, but crazy stuff. Hope you guys are excited. But what are you most excited for, Milwaukee's?
I don't know. Hopefully we land Crowder, and I'm curious if Toronto actually gets rid of Piasco or Van Vleet or where they're going to go. If they're actually having a fire sale, those two pieces could help a lot of teams.
Oh my goodness. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. There's a lot of nice pieces on that team. I think Siakam's going to be, having to re-sign him is going to be insane. You have to have the capital to do that. But I mean, like, it's a weird team. They have like two guards, and the rest of them are all like power forward sized guys on that roster. It's a weird roster in Toronto. They just got to blow it up, get a fresh start. D'Angelo Russell, how you feel about you know, he's all right. He's fine. I like me some D'Angelo Russell. He's I mean, Minnesota, I just think is that's an interesting team too. That's Anthony Edwards' team. D'Angelo Russell is just kind of a nice piece to go with Anthony Edwards, but I think they got really worked over in that Rudy Gobert trade. Yeah, it wasn't clean for the Minnesota Timberwolves, which the GM was in Denver, and then he went out there and made that trade instantly, and that was kind of his splash, and it was not a pretty one. It was a cannonball. It wasn't a swan dive into that trade. It was a cannonball. I'm shaking shit up. That's what happens. What is the over-under on big names moving at the deadline? I mean, I'm trying to think of who I would envision being the biggest name. I think OG Anunoby probably would be the biggest name. I think that's a huge one if he moves, because he's a good player. And if Zach LaVine, it goes to either the Mavs or the Lakers, I think that could be a big splash for either of those teams, depending on what they have to give up and everything else. But I want to say that those two names are probably going to be the bigger movers at the trade deadline. I would say under. The under is 2.5, maybe. I said it over at under 2.5, and I would take the under on big names moving. So I think it's just going to be all tweaking, and I mean, you're going to have like the Jazz. You know, they're going to be making a ton of moves, but no big names, no big splashes there. It's just trying to gather picks and things. So
I'll go with the under. I don't think any All-Stars are being traded.
Yeah, I there's a lot. There's always tons and tons of rumors out there, but I would say all the rumors, I would say maybe a small fraction of them actually get moved. When you hear all these things, I think it's just a lot of posturing, a lot of trying to figure out what I can get value wise, what I can get. You know, hey, I'm going to leak the fact that 3 other teams are interested in OG Anunoby, knowing the fact that raises the cost, and I might get an extra draft pick from this other team or that other team. So there's a lot of reports that who knows how real they really are. They're just put out there by some of these teams and trying to, gauge what they can get back. So if we're talking about guards with iffy knees, LaVine to Dallas appeals me. Okay. Yeah, there you go. Casually. That works. Tim Connelly has now gone all in on Gobert and MPJ. Attaboy. Yeah, man. I mean, he did go all in on, that was his parting gift to the Denver Nuggets. Hey, take him. But MPJ, he's got a higher ceiling. I was actually at the game the other night, Cuban, and my best buddy kind of shares the same sentiments on MPJ, and I'm like, trust the process. Trust the process. It'll all be okay. But there you go. Let's go ahead. Let's shift gears here. Keep all your questions coming when it comes to trade deadline, questions, what you guys are looking forward to, what you guys are excited about. Keep those coming in the chat. I want to hear more and more of those. Let's dive into the power rankings here. And, my Nuggets up 70-69 right now at halftime. Man, that's a high-scoring game. Denver's defense is not looking great tonight. That's what, they've been playing decent recently, but as of right now in this one, let me take a look at this real quick. Let me take a look at the box score, because I'm kind of curious on how Steph and some of these guys in Golden State are performing tonight. Let's see. Jonathan Kuminga having a decent game. 5 for 5, 1 for 1 from 3 for 12 points. Curry's kind of cooking. 14 points, 5 of 8 shooting, 2 of 5 for 3. And then Jordan Poole, 3 of 5 from 3. Man, Jordan Poole. I don't know. I don't know how long his longevity is on that team, given the fact that all the things that happened in the offseason and the fact that he's kind of got a little ego going now. Man, I don't know. I wouldn't be shocked if at some point, I mean, he's not a long-term piece for them, I don't think. All right, let's dive into this one. And the game was good, Cuban. The game was solid. I mean, I had a blast. It was a great time. Got the win too. They did it in pretty easy fashion. They crushed. So, all right, cool. Let's dive into the power rankings. So first off, we have. Hold on, let me get it all queued up here. All right, boom. The Clippers. Clippers are starting to make a little bit of noise coming out of the Western Conference, and they've done this a little bit under the radar. I mean, they haven't really been playing well. Obviously, they've had issues keeping George and Kawhi Leonard both on the court at the same time, and when they do, they're successful. And they might be in some trades that at the deadline trying to get a little bit better, but recently have wins against the Lakers, Spurs, Hawks, and Bulls. Only loss coming to the Cavaliers where they got the doors blown off. But either way, this team does have talent on it. They have a lot of decent players that can, make something happen. They just haven't been able to gel. And right now, winners of, 7 of their last 10. So, they're playing better basketball at the right time, approaching the All-Star break. If they can make a move and get a little bit better, especially defensively, I think that they could be a team that might make some noise. But Clippers, this number 10 spot has been a rotating door on this stream when it comes to our power rankings. So this one, who knows how long they're going to be around for, but a lot of people pick them along with the Lakers, and some of these outlets are crazy with how they love these LA teams. And I still there's only 2 teams that are worth following at the moment, with an honorable mention to the Kings because they're super fun to watch, and I think their defense will hinder them. The Grizzlies and the Nuggets are the only 2 teams in the West that I feel are going to be in a position to compete this year. But
yeah, Mr. Chris, speaking of the Clippers, how bad are they going to lose tonight?
Well, let's see. They got. Let me take a look at this real quick. They have.
Yeah. We have a full team out there.
I think.
How bad they're going to lose?
I think you guys are going to do some work on the Clippers. I think it'll be. I think the spread right now, Milwaukee is -4. They're 4-point favorites. It's in Milwaukee, and you guys got a full roster. And I love how you guys are playing right now. I don't know if the Clippers can hang with that. I would actually take Milwaukee to. I would take the Milwaukee spread if I was going to bet it. I don't think it's a double-digit win by any means. I think it's going to be probably around 5-6 point win there for the Milwaukee Bucks. If I was going to bet on it, that's where I would go. So, hey, you can knock them out of the top 10 here, Milwaukee's. You could do it.
That's the goal. That is the goal, because we got to be number 1 by the time the Super Bowl starts. So let's roll.
Let's see. Ion MPJ without the ball. He was more than just someone watching the game with great seats. So he's fine. He hit some shots, man. He hit some shots. He's good. No, he was good, Cuban. I was actually a little concerned about Jamal Murray early on in that game with the turnovers. He kept throwing the ball to the other team, but then he got better and he played a really, really good game after that. So there's that. But I just think overall here with the Clippers, they are starting to get into a rhythm. I think they heard all the noise, the fact that they need to get some cohesive play together with their entire roster, as opposed to just doing the whole load management thing. But their offense has just been struggling. They're ranked in the bottom 3rd offensively, and it's just not a way to win if you're the Clippers, especially with all the offensive firepower that you think you have on that team. It's not going to get it done. Next up, we got Miami Heat, still kind of lingering around in the power rankings here. They've been playing fairly well. Again, their issue is also offense, but they've been playing a lot better as of late, and still sticking in the mix. They're number 6 in the Eastern Conference at the moment. They're 6-4 of their last 10. They lost a game yesterday to the Knicks, but overall they won 4 of their last 5. Before that, only loss coming to the Hornets, but they have wins against the Celtics, the Pelicans, who are trash, the Magic, and the Cavs, who, that was a 3-point win. That was a gritty win for Miami, and they're all healthy, getting healthier at the right time. So, like Miami there, and I think that they could potentially creep up and catch Cleveland if Cleveland still continues to have issues. Cleveland slowed down a little bit, but still a really good team defensively. I think that from this standpoint, this will be kind of a interesting stretch for the Miami Heat on trying to see if they can capture a little bit more of that higher seed in the Eastern Conference, because those top 3 or 4 teams, those are pretty much locked in. So now it's just, trying to figure out some of the seeding as you get into the later part of the season. All right, so Miami Heat coming in there at number 8. Number 9, I'm sorry.
Miami Heat are good on defense, but they are literally last in the league in scoring.
Yeah,
they're not. They need to add to that.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's the thing that I'm most worried about them. And I feel like they came out of the gates. Tyler Hero's been, I feel like he had a resurgence for a little bit, and then it's just they just haven't been able to get anything going offensively. It's just so strange. But yeah. Miami Heat comes in number 9. Speaking of Cavs, we talked about the Cavs just now. Cavs still offensively in the top third of the league offensively, and still really elite from a defensive standpoint. They've had a lot of success, early on in the season. It's given them a little bit of a buffer to kind of have some struggles going on. Most recently, they have a win against the Grizzlies, which they actually, put the Grizzlies in their place. 128-113. Nice win against a big Western Conference team. Thank you for the help, by the way, Cleveland, for knocking the Grizzlies down a little bit. Wins against the Clippers as well. They had the loss against the Rockets and a loss against the Thunder most recently as well. But coming up here in 2 or 3 days off, leading into a game with the Pacers. But overall, I still love their defense. Mitchell, they got in a scuffle the other night. Brooks got tossed as well. But Donovan Mitchell, still, Evan Mobley. I love a lot of the players on this roster. Darius Garland, Jared Allen. They are a very dynamic team defensively, and it oftentimes leads to really positive things on the other end of the court as they transition from a solid defense to a decent offensive team. Again, top 3rd in the NBA. Right now, they are sitting half a game behind the Brooklyn Nets in that 4th spot. And, the Nets still don't have KD, so he's going to be out for a little bit longer. But Cavs, good enough here to come in at number 8. Speaking of the Nets, I'm just easy transitions here. What am I, it's just easy. You have the Brooklyn Nets here coming in 30-20. Again, a half game over the Cavaliers, and 2.5 back behind the Philadelphia 76ers, who, man, we'll talk about them here coming up. But they got they got absolutely destroyed yesterday by the Boston Celtics, 139-96. That game can't get much more lopsided than that. But before that, wins against the Lakers and the Knicks, pretty taking care of business there. And then only other questionable loss was the Pistons, but the other one they have on their schedule that they close game lost to the Philadelphia 76ers 137-133. But do I think this team can still make a run? Yes. They've been able to hold water while KD has been out. They've been they were the hottest team in the NBA before that Kevin Durant injury, and they're still able to kind of keep things afloat here. I don't know if they're able to hold off until KD gets back. I think Cleveland might catch him, and I don't know if Miami's going to be consistent enough to catch him, but they're going to be kind of battling there with Cleveland for a little bit. But overall, I feel like the high potential for this team, people forget that when they were at their peak with Kevin Durant, they were the number one offense, and they were a top over that streak that they had, I think it was like 8 or 9 straight games, they had a top 8 defense in the NBA along with that number 1 offense through that span. So I do think that they are still a pretty good team, and they will be there at the very end. Just got to get healthy. That's the biggest thing. So, I mean, we had them at number 1 a couple weeks ago, and tides change. And the Eastern Conference is so tough. You have a lot of teams, very top heavy. There's honestly more teams in the Eastern Conference that are better than most of the Western Conference. There's 2 teams in the Western Conference that really stand out, and there's multiple teams at the top of the Eastern Conference.
I'll just add it. No one wants to see the Nets in the playoffs.
No.
KD, no, you do not want to see him.
That team, man, that team is a terrifying team. I mean, any team. I don't care if you're Boston, Milwaukee, Philly. You don't want to be matching up against a KD team in the playoffs. Come on, man. Algorithm Ninja doesn't like where we have the Nets, but like I said, I tell Milwaukee this all the time. Hey, y'all were first a couple weeks ago. It's the trends. It's how things are going at this point in the season. Now, do I think the Nets end up at number 7 to finish it all out? No, I don't think so. I think they climbed the ladder a little bit more. So don't worry, Ninja. We got you. Don't worry. Coming up, the Kings. Kings here. They're playing good basketball, man. We talked a lot about them. They're absolute 2-game winning streak right now. 7 of the last 10 games have been wins, and they've been doing it in a Western Conference that, you know, they're taking advantage of it, right? They're still 2 games up on the Clippers in the Pacific, and they keep winning games. Their offense is absolutely it's a fun team to watch. De'Aaron Fox, you got baby Jokic, you have Sabonis, my boy, doing some good things, and he's made his all-star team as well. But I mean, they rattled off 6 straight wins against, you know, pretty not so great teams, but they're beating the teams they need to. Lost to a couple teams like the Sixers. The Raptors are kind of whatever, and split against the Minnesota Timberwolves. So either way, they're playing some really good basketball right now, and the fact that they're the best story of the NBA. Now, don't get me wrong. Good stories fade. And I want the Kings to be in the mix for at the end here, but I'm just so worried about their defense right now. Their defense is kind of what's holding them back. You make a trade at the deadline. If depending on, I mean, they're a fascinating team. They're 21st in the NBA right now, defensive rating, and they're top like 2 or 3 team in the NBA when it comes to the offense. So you make a quick little, you know, move. I don't know if they're going to be buyers this year. And Dr. J, let me know if you think. Do you think the Kings are going to be buyers at the deadline? Because if they can make a couple moves to improve that defensive side of the basketball, I like them a lot. I just think that they're a couple pieces away. Super exciting. One of the most fun teams to watch by far. Number 5, Memphis Grizzlies. They are, as Reckoning said earlier, kind of fallen off a little bit based off of their most recent stint. They haven't played their best basketball. They're 3-7 in their last 10. Losers of 2 straight against the Blazers and the Cavs. I mean, they have absolutely just been on a downward spiral. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 of their last games, or 7 of their last 8 losses. So they have a nice cushion. The Dallas Mavericks are kind of creeping in. I'm not too worried about Dallas catching them. I think overall they're pretty good, but their defense over the course of some of those games, they gave up 120 to the Warriors, 112 to the Blazers, and 113 to the Cavaliers. 128 to the Cavaliers, 122 to the Blazers, 122 to the Warriors, 133 to the Kings. For being such a good defensive team, Memphis hasn't been playing good defense as of late. They've had their struggles. Now they're still rated pretty high overall, just based off of what they've been doing earlier on in the season. But this last stretch has not been good to them. So they need to get right. They will. Jaren Jackson he got named to the All-Star reserves, and I mean, they must have loved what he was doing defensively. I mean, he's averaging more blocks and everything than anybody else in the NBA. And at one point, I think he was averaging more than Rudy Gobert. I think that's what I had a stat on that last week or something. But he has been absolutely a stud. What up, B-Rock? How we doing, my friend? So Grizzlies, they will right the ship. I just don't think that they're in a great place right now. They're still one of the most talented teams. They're one of the top 2 teams in the West that I feel have a really, really good chance to make a deep run into the playoffs and potentially represent the West in the NBA Finals. I think they're the second best team out of those 2. So we'll see. All right. My Nuggets have fallen off a little bit. I got the Nuggets down here at 3rd. Nuggets have, and this is partially due to, Jokic sat a couple games, over they had that bad loss to the Philadelphia 76ers most recently. That was that rivalry week game that I was really bummed out about. I wanted that game. I wanted it, and the Nuggets just they were started out fast. They just couldn't deliver in that one. But that doesn't change the fact that they're 35-16. They've been playing really good basketball. They put it to the Pelicans the other day, but they have losses to the Bucks, where they didn't play half their roster. They lost to a weird loss to the Thunder. There was a 2-point loss to the Thunder, which they could have won on a Jamal Murray last-minute shot that he missed there. So that could have gone either way. But overall, it's just a bad stretch here for the Nuggets. Losers of 3 of their last 5. And then hopefully they get a nice win against Golden State. I think this is a big win for them if they can knock off a team that's starting to resurge back into the mix of the Western Conference side of the ball. But the Western Conference is weird. You look at the standings. You had the Pelicans, number 4 a week ago, or 3 a week ago. They've dropped all the way down to 10th. You had the Golden State Warriors, who were 11th a week ago. They're all the way launched up to 7th in the Western Conference. Like, the whole thing is just absolutely, it's a logjam. You have between the Utah Jazz all the way up through the Dallas Mavericks are all separated by a half game in the Western Conference. There's a lot of movement back and forth. So that'll be interesting. You could see teams dropping out of it within a week. That's how close the Western Conference middle of the pack is. But that being said, Denver Nuggets are still, I think, the deepest team in the NBA. Jokic, when they have everybody clicking on all cylinders, they're a top 2 team offensively. They've improved to start the season as 26th in the NBA in net rating defense, all the way up to 15th currently, which, if that keeps climbing, that's going to be a dangerous situation for anybody else that they're playing in the Western Conference, or even the NBA Finals for that matter. So love my Nuggets here. I think that they're just kind of, giving Jokic some rest, getting some guys right, making sure they're managing the roster a little bit. But Cuban, dang, Bucks have been on the fringe all season, but they didn't even make the list this time. Oh, well, we've been on the roll. Just nice transitions to the next team up on the list. And Milwaukee's, this is your 1 week where you could see your Bucks higher than my Nuggets. Congratulations. Your Bucks have climbed the ladder to number 3. They've been at 4, log jammed for a little bit. But the Bucks coming in here, and they're playing the basketball that I expected them to play all season long. Right now, they are just absolutely, with Chris Middleton back in the lineup, all the players that they have there that are starting to, get healthy again and be in a nice rhythm. They're playing some good basketball. And so that being said, they are locked in number 2 behind Boston, passing Philadelphia here. They're 2.5 games back of the Boston Celtics. They're winners of 5 straight, longest winning streak, at least in the top half of the Eastern Conference at the moment. And they're just playing really good basketball. I think that they're at a point where they're going to start turning it on. Right now, they're separating themselves from Cleveland in the central standings by 3.5 games at the moment, which that was kind of close for a little bit. Now they're starting to wake up and own that division right at this very juncture. So wins against the Pistons, Nuggets, Pacers, Pelicans, Hornets. Pretty easy slate there for them. But they're still taking care of business and doing it in dominant fashion. Pelicans beat them 135 to 110. Put up 141 on the Pacers, 150 on the Pistons. So even though they're soft teams, they're still doing it the way they need to do it and just going crazy on them. So Milwaukee's, I got them at number 3 here. I know that's not high enough for you, but they are starting to get into that mid-season form.
It's not high enough. Absolutely not. I've always said it's between the Bucks and the Celtics. Whoever wins that series is going to take the title. Your Nuggets, Grizzlies, Kings, not scared.
Ooh, I'll remember. Hey, all right. I'll remember that when we get down to it and we have our little bet going at the end of the season. If the Bucks make it, they got to make it out of that strong Eastern Conference.
Hey, if we're healthy, we'll be there. We took Boston the 7 without Middleton. We'll be there. You?
All I have to worry about is the Grizzlies. And let's just put it this way. I'm not worried about the Grizzlies. Grizzlies, they're not there yet. They haven't had that postseason success. The Nuggets are a team that has been in the postseason and hadn't made it pretty far. First, second round. Minimum for the most part. They had that one stint where they made it to the Western Conference Finals. But, I mean, honestly, like, they have a lot of veterans on this team, and they have a lot of players that have been there. You got KCP, Bruce Brown have been on the playoffs on various teams that they've been playing on. They have a little bit of a leadership role. You got Jokic running the thing. You got Murray back. You got MPJ. I know, we got Cubans all about MPJ. But all I can say is, it's an easier road to the NBA Finals for the Nuggets than it is the Bucks. Based off of, you got Brooklyn getting better with KD, you got the Boston Celtics, and then Philadelphia is playing out of their minds right now. So let's just say the path is a little bit easier on the West. You don't say that every year. Usually the Western Conference is the stronger conference, but most recently, in the last couple seasons, the Eastern Conference has been slowly growing to be a bigger power. And there's more quality teams in the Eastern Conference than the Western Conference. But
and I think it all matters on your positioning. I mean, the top 4 teams in the East are going to win their first round games, but then who do they match up against?
It's kind of, until you get there, it's kind of one of those things that you just got to wait and see. Because it's going to be, it's the second round is when the playoffs start for a lot of these teams in the Eastern Conference. You're right. But we'll see what happens. I think the Bucks. I think you guys have a back-to-back. I think coming up with Miami, if I'm not mistaken, or did you already have that? I think it was
coming up, but it's not looking good tonight. We're losing 20-5 at home.
Yeah, that's not a good start. But hey, you know what? They'll be back in this game. I'm not too worried about them in this game.
No.
My Nuggets 91-85 right now. Third quarter, 4:35 left in that one. So I'm gonna be keeping tabs on that game as well. But no, I'm not worried about the Bucks tonight. If there's one team that melts down at any point, it's the LA Clippers. Just don't. You can't give them too big of a lead early on. You got to close the gap by halftime, and you'll be golden. So, all right, next up on the list, we have the Celtics. And y'all are going to be like, oh, Celtics, number 2? This is what we're working with this week. Celtics, number 2. They are leading the Eastern Conference, and they have been strong, but they have not been looking as good as the top team since the last week. Boston Celtics comes in. They are absolutely one of the best teams in the NBA. Offensive rating, defensive rating, they are in the top 10, top 5 most of the time. And they had their stint where they fell out, but right now I think they're ranked 4th offensively, 4th defensively. There's not too many teams that are top 5 in both categories. And this team has continuously been, every time they get down, they lose a couple game back to back, or whatever happens with them, they somehow find ways to get the shit together and put it back. A nice little streak. They're 7 out of the last 10 wins coming in their most recent week of action. So that being said, winners of 2 straight. They have wins against the Nets, the Lakers. They beat the Warriors along some of that, the end of that long winning streak. They had a couple interesting losses. Magic wasn't a good one, and the Knicks weren't a good one. Lost by 3 to the Knicks, lost by 3 to the Miami Heat. So lost 3 of their last 5, but I just think that, this is just kind of one of those things that is just down little section of the schedule for them where they're just not playing their best basketball, and they're still kind of starting to get in the rhythm again. So the winners of 2 straight, that they could rattle off 3 or 4 straight after this. So right now, Boston Celtics fall down on my list a little bit, but it makes room for our number 1 team, and that is the 76ers. It's hard for me to not put them in this spot based off of what they've been doing over the course of the last 2 weeks. They have absolutely been crushing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 of their last 9 games have been wins, and they've been doing it against good teams. They did it against a full, healthy Nuggets team, who is one of the best teams in the NBA at this very juncture. They did it against the Nets, the Kings, the Blazers, the Clippers. That strength of schedule of those some of those wins along this streak, and they've been doing it with Joel Embiid. And James Harden's been playing good basketball. They've actually started to play. I want to see James Harden do it in the playoffs. I still need to see that because James Harden always melts down in the playoffs and they disappear. But I will say Embiid must be on a mission because he didn't get a starting role in the All-Star game. He's not getting a lot of love in, when it comes to me, he's a reserve in the Eastern Conference, which is insane. He's missed out on the MVP conference the last 2 years. He took that game against Denver seriously. And honestly, right now, if you were to tell me this week, if I could take any team in the NBA to win a game, this Philadelphia team is playing lights out. They're 3 games back, but they have been on a tear to catch Boston. And I think this one's going to come down the stretch between Brooklyn, when they get KD back, Philadelphia and Boston. This Atlantic division, it's one of the best divisions in basketball. I mean, even the Knicks are 4th on this in this division, and they're 3 games above 500. And they're still, 9.5 back behind Boston, but still. I love what I'm seeing from Philadelphia. I do think that this is not going to last. I don't think that they can, keeping pace with Boston is going to be tough. And Brooklyn when KD comes back. But I will say, as of right now, Philadelphia is playing some good ball. And right now they're at the top of my rankings. So there you have it. Clippers, Heat, Cavs, Nets, Kings, Grizzlies, Nuggets, Bucks, Celtics, and Sixers. So next week, we'll have a completely new power rankings based off of how things are rolling in the NBA. Again, these teams aren't going to stay where they're at. Nuggets were number 1. Now they're 4th. You got the Nets were number 1 at one point. Now they're 7th. And you got teams climbing up and down week to week. So a lot of stuff to see who. Let's see how much teams can get right before the All-Star break, because that's going to be a big stretch for a lot of teams to get some wins under their belt and get ready for the second half of the season. So, guys, next week we have coming up. We have the big trade deadline coming up. So we want to make sure that you guys just keep tabs on things. We will be live next Thursday to cover all of it, and we're going to have a lot of fun checking in on everything, all the updates, all the news, all the reactions from all the trades that are going to be taking place, and kind of what we think, give grades on some of them, see what we think about how some of these teams maneuvered before the trade deadline. So let's see. Let's go real recap on the games right now. 97-85 for the lead for the Nuggets. Dallas is up on New Orleans by 6. New Orleans is in a free fall, man. They're absolutely just a mess. See you next Thursday, Dr. J. Have a great night. Thank you for being a part of the stream. It means a lot, and I love to see all of our NBA fans coming in. Clippers up on the Milwaukee Bucks by a score of 24-11. The Lakers in the books beating the Pacers by 1. Close one there. Cleveland put away Memphis. Thank you again. This is a big win for Denver tonight to get some space in that first in that first spot. And then Miami and New York wrapped up a close one there. New York ends up taking that game. So, yeah, there you go. Next week, we will be back Thursday for our 1, maybe 2-hour show and having some fun talking some NBA. But I just want to give a shout out to Milwaukee's Best doing some producer work tonight and having some fun, being a part of the stream and chiming in. Man, it's been a pleasure to have you as a part of the stream, man.
Well, thank you very much for having me. I mean, there's one change. If you put the Nets and the Grizzlies and then put your top 5 in a bumbler and just pull a card, like that's what it is.
That's
like,
what it is.
Those
Yeah.
teams are good.
Yeah. No, I think, I think that you're right. I mean, there's only about 5. Yeah, I would say 5. I would say, let's see. I would say Eastern Conference. I would pull Boston, Milwaukee, Philadelphia, Brooklyn. I don't think Cleveland's ready yet. I think I was keeping them like Cleveland was kind of in like the top 5 and then it's a drastic fall off for me. But Cleveland might not be ready at this point. And then in the Western Conference, I mean, I think it's down to Nuggets and Grizzlies, and I don't believe in the Grizzlies. I think the Grizzlies are going to be a scrappy team. I don't see them being a team that I worry about. So,
like I said, man, pick a card. If you had the Nets in the top 5, I don't think the Grizzlies are in that class. The Nuggets are, but yeah, if you had the Nets in the top 5, pull a card.
Yeah.
Who's going to win?
It's going to be fun, man. It's going to be a good year. And the parity of the NBA is at its all-time best. You got stars on each team. You got multiple teams that you could realistically see win an NBA Finals. That's what's great about this year and where we're going in the NBA. We haven't even talked about the Golden State Warriors going to be closing in on this number 10 spot real quick based off of the fact that they're starting to play some good basketball. Warriors are a team that kind of worry me as a dark horse coming into the Western Conference playoffs. So we'll see. But let me go ahead. Let me get the credits rolling here for you guys so you guys can, recognize all of your support with the show today. So let's go ahead. Let's get this rolling here. Get this out of here. And let's go ahead and just, hey, guys, have a great rest of your night. We will be live back here in the Action Lab on Sunday. We have a retro game coming out. So, Algorithm, thank you for the follow, by the way. See, I got your name up on the list and everything. We have our big throwback game. We're going to be doing the Philadelphia New England Patriots game. That's going to be a lot of fun. And we're going to go ahead and have a little maybe truth or dab action happening on Sunday as well. But you guys, we're going to be talking a lot of NFL. Next Wednesday, we have our Super Bowl special. We're going to be doing prop bets. We're going to be doing preview of the game. We're going to say who we like to win. All those things talk about commercials, talk about our favorite Super Bowl snacks and foods. It's going to be one of our favorite shows of the year. We can't wait to have you in the Action Rab. What's up, Durandum? How we doing? All right, guys. It sounds like Fireball is. Let me see. Fireball is live. Let me go ahead. Let me pull up what's he got going on, Rec. I haven't seen what he's doing. Let me see.
I think I'm him until I get.
we're just rating out Fireball here, I think. So give me a second. Hey, Rec, can you throw the link to Fireball out in the chat? By the way, guys, go be a good person. If you have between now and Sunday, go be a good person and go live in the moment a little bit. Make sure you guys are taking care of, that you're just taking it all in and putting the phone down and enjoying everything around you. Because honestly, it's a super important thing that people forget about it. So just make sure that's a thing. Let's see, Rec, can you throw his Fireball's link out? I'm having trouble finding it. There you go. Thank you. All right. And we will raid Fireball. He is a good friend of our show. And looks like he's got Orlando and a little, he's got some NBA 2K. And he's a good friend of the show. So make sure you go give him some love. And he'll appreciate it. And give him a follow as well. All right, guys. Have a great rest of your evening. Love you all. And we will see you back here Sunday night for a throwback of the year. Let's go. Have a great one.